Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the new verse Kaido over in some PvP. The third verse Kaido, man. That's crazy to say, but ironically, they're all different colors, so you can run them all on different teams, and they don't really have too much crossover. The downside to verse characters is that if you run verse Kaido, the team technically has the name verse Luffy, or Luffy as a whole. But in today's video, we're taking a look just at Kaido on the DEX team, seeing how he rocks, seeing how he rolls, and honestly, DEX has just been getting buff after buff after buff after buff. Once again, I sit in this chair, and I feel like I'm doing another goddamn PvP DEX video, which I am, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like I've done so many of these videos on DEX in the last month and a couple of months. It's just been absolutely absurd, and even still, I haven't even pulled Zoro yet, so like that would ironically be another video on fucking DEX. But Kaido is a monster. He is a demon. He is terrific. He is fantastic. He is all the words you can think of. Plus, he's a powerhouse character. So the whole DEX powerhouse conversation comes back up. However, with the addition of stuff like Usopp and Frankie, I do really still like that sort of shooter-centric or that shooter-esque type DEX team with the powerhouse core. The 6+ of Lucci still very, very good. Pell still holds his own as an absolute demon on the DEX powerhouse kind of build. Frankie in turn actually is a powerhouse character, and then with the addition of this Kaido, you've also got the powerhouse class there, and you've got Ace just being an absolute menace, satisfying the shooter class for Frankie, and then your bench you can kind of just build out for what you need for the rest of the team. But Kaido in PvP, he's an absolute demon, as I mentioned. His passive ability does DEX teammates HP up level 6, speed up level 6, defense up level 3. When the remaining time is 50 seconds or more, he gives level 6 attack and level defense 3. And when you're below 50 seconds, he buffs himself by level 8 attack, defense level 8, and CT speed level 5. So basically what he does is in the first 50 seconds, he's a team player. And then in the last 50 seconds, he kind of goes, all right, screw you guys. You guys are taking too long. Give me all the buffs and let me carry the team. Now, this can be a bit of a problem, obviously, if he dies very, very quickly. But with that extra defensive buff, that level 6 defense buff, and the level 6 HP buff that he gives, and if you put him on a wing, you don't really have that many issues. Plus, Pell's giving level 3 CT speed to powerhouse characters, and Lucci and Frankie are both giving a nice chunky HP and defensive buff as well. So you are very okay to get into that last 50 seconds. And with 6 CD, you do see his special very, very quickly. Now, his special, very much like his ability, works in the same sense that he does something different in the first 50 seconds to the last 50 seconds. But all the time, he targets DEX teammates for attack up level 6 for 25 seconds. CT speed up level 3. Targets 3 enemies with high HP. Will ignore defense for attack of 1.2 2 times. And when time is 50 seconds, more than 50 seconds, targets enemies within a large range for 60% chance to paralysis. When you're in the last 50 seconds, he targets enemies within that large range and just hits them for 3 times damage. Now, you're probably thinking 3 times damage compared to that 1.2 going through defense. It's really not as good. However, on this DEX build, you have Ace lowering defense, Lucci lowering defense, Frankie lowering defense, and you can just melt units in that last 50 seconds with that level 8 attack up that he has, as well as the level 5 CT speed that he gives. The ability to give level 3 CT speed to the entire team is so strong too. Ace is the only non-powerhouse character on this team, and this team functions so nicely. It just mowed its way through the Hatchan event, as it should, because it's Dex versus Quick. It had no problems mowing its way through and just tanking out the Cerebral team when we took on Saul. It just basically held its own once we got our specials off, like 16k damage right there. Like, Kaido literally went in the last 50 seconds, right on the buzzer, smacks Shanks around for 16k. Because remember, after he kills because he still hits 2 times first, that goes through defense. If he kills 2 units, their passive goes away, and then all of a sudden, that 3 times damage is hitting exceptionally hard. Remember, Frankie's lowering defense, Lucci's lowering defense, Ace lowering defense, and you can do some absolutely bonkers things with Kaido, man. The DEX team, has definitely risen into that top 3 echelons of teams now. With the addition of Kaido and with the addition of like the shooter meta, like they can just do absolutely exceptional things. Moving on to the challenge against the infight now, I thought, hey, let's go up against some characters that can kind of go through defense, and that's really pushed this team a little bit with stuff like S-Hawk and stuff like Whitebeard Roger, which we will actually fight a little bit later. But it really didn't have that many issues, like, at all. Like I said, those extra buffs that Kaido gives in the start, and then obviously getting the level 3 CD speed, it means that sure, you're probably a little bit slower at the start, but still having level 6 CD is very, very fast. Like, it's a very, very quick special charge. He special charges on 32 seconds, which, look, it's not the lowest, it's not the highest, but it's definitely on the higher end. But having that level 6 CD is very strong. And then obviously once he uses his special, that goes up to level 9. And then once you hit the last 50 seconds, all of a sudden you're cooking with 14 CD reduction. And then in the last 30 seconds, obviously that can increase up to like 24 CD. And Kaido's hitting like an absolute truck. The enemy has no defense. And if you even get that far, like it's absolutely curtains. As you can see, Pell is hitting for monstrous damage. And we've only got 16. We've only got 16 attack. But because of all this defensive drop that this team has, it's so nice. As for the bench really just satisfies the conditions of Frankie having 5 shooters. So S-Shark and Kizaru, both being PvP rare recruits and legends. They just worked perfectly on the bench. And then finally, I have Garp here just to satisfy the ace condition. Now, you guys don't really need to do this if you don't have this sort of echelons of characters. You could just run like Legend Sabo, for example. The 6+ Sabo, he is a shooter. He satisfies the ace condition, and then you just run like 2 other like fodder characters that cost 1 cost. Otherwise, you can do stuff like run a shooter Sabo that's like 1 cost, bring something like Dalton maybe, and then run like another PvP rare recruit instead, or run another PvP rare recruit that can satisfy the shooter condition, and do some fun stuff like that. Obviously, if you don't have Frankie, you can substitute a plethora of characters in. You have stuff like Roger, you have units like Big Mom, who are all powerhouse characters too. You can easily bring them into the team, and they are going to do absolute work on the DEX team as well. DEX have just got so many options nowadays, and when you look at the DEX powerhouse combination, it's absolutely crazy what these teams actually... The 6+ of Lucci, honestly, has just been an absolute insane buff to DEX, and in my opinion, probably my favorite buff, because it just ties all of these characters together, like Ace and Frankie, and even Usopp. If you want to chuck Usopp into the mix here, like debuff the enemy, lower their CD, and do some fun stuff that way, you can do some really crazy shenanigans and some funny things. But we're going to round it out with the slasher fight. Stereotypically, this slasher fight, it's not obviously the meta slasher team, but it's still a bit of a bitch. Like, if you get absolutely gobsmacked by Whitebeard and Roger and then S-Hawk, you can get hit very quickly and very hard. So just be careful when you are sort of getting a bit cocky with certain teams. Just be mindful that RNG still is an absolute menace when it comes to the PvP game mode. And if specials proc at the right time and you have characters that are bypassing defense and hitting you very hard with HP cuts, your team can melt very quickly. And that's the big downfall that I did find to DEX. If they get hit very quickly by characters that can bypass defense, especially after a pretty chunky HP cut like what Roger and Whitebeard can hit you with, you can melt pretty damn quick. And then unfortunately, like I said at the start, if you lose something like Kaido, you don't start building up the CD, you don't hit very hard or sort of pick off a couple of units, then you are going to be in for a rough time. But remember, like that level 6 CD, the level 3 that Ace gives, and the level 3 that Pell is giving, is going to be enough to see Frankie go off in the first 40 seconds, most of the time, unless there's Nami Karina shenanigans or Smoothie shenanigans or stuff like that. But most of the time, you will see that extra damage, the defensive drops. Even with a level 3 CD, Ace is going to go quite quickly. Remember, he's going to get the buff from Kaido, though, once he uses his special. And as you can see, if RNG goes your way, and I did run this a couple times, I did get absolutely gobsmacked the first time, but then I ran it a couple times, and most of the time, it went exactly like this, purely because Lucci went very quickly, and then Pell went very quickly, picked off a unit like S-Hawk, and from there, it was basically curtains. If you get hit by something like Roger and Whitebeard, you can recover quite easily. If you even get hit by something like S-Hawk, you can recover quite easily. However, if you get hit by both, it's usually where the DEX team does struggle. But that's going to wrap up the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, but like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, if you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Loot!